Okay, in this segment, I'm going to answer another question that was posed at Comic Cons. I've mentioned that we see uh, t shirts and cosplay outfits and tattoos. And one of the other things that you see is piercings of the body. Sometimes there'll be lots of piercings of the ears, sometimes of the nose, sometimes the tongue. Um, Other places that I wouldn't know unless someone told me. And like so many other things that we see at cons and in life, uh, they're not for me. I don't have any piercings on my body, but I don't judge people that do. To me, it just has nothing to do with a person's relationship with God. There's the status of their soul, their salvation. This is an exterior thing in a temporary body, which is this flesh, and but we turn to the scriptures to answer this question. So again, this was posed by someone, and we're just simply answering this question by looking in the scriptures. So I've found a few scriptures that are different from the scriptures for the tattoos. And so let me read those. The first one will be in Exodus chapter 32, and I'm reading verses 1, 3, and 4 from the NIV. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, all of the people took off their earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took what they handed him and made it into an idol cast in the shape of a calf, fastening it with a tool. And then they said, "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." So this is, of course, from the exodus of the children of Israel from their slavery and bondage in Egypt. And what did they do? Almost immediately they began to rebel against God, and they made the golden calf. We've heard this story probably from our childhood. But the thing to note here is that what they made the calf out of was melted down earrings. So earrings are mentioned in the scripture. In this particular case, not in a very good light, but just because of what they did with the earrings. The fact that they had earrings is just subject matter for the story that is assumed, to be something that the reader would accept as normal in life. I do recall that the scripture says that the way they got these earrings was they borrowed them from the Egyptians right before they left. So they borrowed without any intention of returning them. Oops. But basically that's just to say that the Bible talks about earrings. There's no negative or positive with the wearing of them, only that they existed as a piece of jewelry. Genesis chapter 24. I'm going to read selected verses 1, 2, 4, 15, 22, and 27. If you want, read the whole chapter or just follow along. This is from the NIV version. And this is about the story of Isaac and Rebekah. Verse 1. Abraham was now very old, and he said to the senior servant in the household, "Go to my country and my own relatives and get a wife for my son Isaac." Verse 15. Before he had finished praying, Rebekah came out with her jar on her shoulder. Verse 22. The man took out a gold nose ring and 2 bracelets. Verse 27, saying, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has led me on the journey to the house of my master's relatives." So in this story of the patriarch Abraham finding a wife for his son Isaac, he sent his servant to go do his bidding and go find a wife who was an Israelite or a Hebrew. And in this story, when the man finds Rebekah, who became the wife of Isaac, He gave her a gift, which we might call like an engagement present or a betrothal gift these days. And what did he give her but bracelets and a nose ring? So this was something that was a gift that was not a demeaning gift. It wasn't intended to bring shame upon Rebecca. This was a prized, a treasure that was being offered to a future wife, a nose ring. So that, to me, casts this nose ring, at least in this culture, in this point in time, as a positive thing, as a something that was culturally accepted, and it didn't have any taboos associated with it, no negative connotations. This was essentially an engagement present. All right, one more scripture I'm going to read, Ezekiel chapter 16, verses 1 through 3 and 12 to 14. And I'm going to read just some selected portions of the scriptures to bring out the meaning. Verse 1, the word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, confront Jerusalem and say, verse 12, I put a ring on your nose, earrings on your ears, and a beautiful crown on your head. And your fame spread among the nations on account of your beauty, because the splendor I had given you made your beauty perfect, declares the Lord. Now, he's talking to Jerusalem, and so the jewelry that's mentioned here, the ring for the nose, and earrings for the ears, and the crown on the head, these aren't literal pieces of jewelry, but they are metaphors to say that God brought beauty to the natural beauty that his people already had. The nation of Israel had a natural beauty just because of the people that they were. And the city of Jerusalem, representing the people, had this natural beauty. But what God gave to them made the beauty of Jerusalem perfect. And what was the words he used to represent perfect beauty was a nose ring and earrings and a crown. So once again, in the scriptures, the nose rings and the earrings did not have a negative connotation to them. They basically brought the concept that this was something beautifying the wearer. That the wearer might be a beautiful person to start with, but adding the jewelry perfected the beauty. So again, that's not for me. I don't have any piercings. I don't, need jewelry to make me look better. I'm already looking better. All right, whatever. But jewelry is something that basically I don't judge. If someone wears jewelry, it's just something on the outside. Now there's a lot of other scriptures you can look at, and we're supposed to, as Christians, live humbly and not wear expensive things. But there's nothing that I read in scripture that says that this is something that's wrong. If a person wants to wear the jewelry, even if it's, multiples, some people might not like that. A second, a third, a whatever. The wearer decides this for themselves. And I see nothing in Scripture that says that it's wrong or sin or it's something to be ashamed of. There's cultural norms, and of course, there's societal norms. There's norms for your church. And so within those communities, they might set rules, but they're not based on the Bible. They are simply based on people's preferences. And so I don't, impose my will on others. People dress how they want. And, as long as they're decently covered, as long as, they're not doing something that causes a problem, with their conscience, then I'm generally okay with things, and it's just not an issue for me. Hope this was helpful.